Hey, everybody. I have my friend Paul Barron on today, and we're going to talk about influencer marketing and how you can use other people who have an audience to drive traffic to your brand. Paul, why don't you introduce yourself and a little bit about your background for people that may not be familiar with you?
Yeah. I started selling on Amazon in the e-commerce world back in 2015. Prior to that, I was in digital marketing all the way back since 2008-ish is when I really started cutting my teeth in that digital marketing world. Did web development and all that sort of stuff back in 2010, back when Joomla was a thing. I don't know if you remember that, but
Sure.
yeah, we were building sites on Joomla, and this is when I didn't know anything about web development. We were charging $100 a page.
I mean, some of my early web development projects too, I charged way too little for how much money the businesses were making off of us. So
yeah.
how did you kind of parlay that into influencer marketing and getting involved in the influencer space?
It's a wild road, because back in 2015 when we got started, I was coming off. I'd gotten hired at a company in, I think it was 2012, 2013. No, it wasn't 2010, because it was the year that I got married. They fired me actually in 2012, 2013. And sort of like there's a lot of this, like in the entrepreneur circle, you see like that, like Pat Flynn, right? Like pushed out on his own.
Right.
At this agency that I was working at, I was basically a marketing type consultant. I was in sales, but a lot of the times I would also provide like consultation, like doing things in marketing and growing businesses. So fast forward to 2015. I was trying to do my own web development thing in the 2 years prior to being let go from that agency. And I had seen one of my friends was sharing the promotional video for ASM5, so Amazing Selling Machine 5, Matt Clark, Jason Katzenbach,
Sure.
back in the day. So at first brush, I watched it and I was like, wow, these guys are really good scam artists. Like that was my initial thought. And then I started digging into it more. Long story short, I signed up, took the course. The first business that we launched is still in existence. And with the same first initial round of products, we sell reusable swim diapers. Our brand name is Bo and Bell Littles on Amazon. And we sort of, I guess, amalgamated what ASM was teaching and then some pains that we had in our own life. Because again, my background is in brand building, digital marketing, traditional marketing stuff. So when I saw this Amazon opportunity, it wasn't about, like, for me, it wasn't about like my first foray into business. It wasn't my first foray into marketing. Right. So I had this understanding that, real brands, they're generally, niche down into some industry or some niche or something, and they have a family of products, and then you got this brand story and yada yada yada, like Shark Tank, right? And so we had an issue with our son the year before. We were going swimming and we just couldn't find good swim diapers that fit. That's the nutshell version. So we developed a reusable one size swim diaper that fits from birth for 3 years. And again, with my background in digital marketing and sort of brand building, where my brain goes is like, okay, how can I get the word out there? And for me, like, networking it's one of those things that I think a lot of people hear like networking and they're like, I don't want to do that. And for me, networking is like hanging out and having fun, like Prosper, right?
Right.
Like Prosper this year was insane. How many events networking? It was like 4 a day or something plus Prosper. So
it was nonstop,
insane. So that's where my brain goes is how can I get like people to find out about us and then build a community and share and all this stuff. And so year one, I did a lot of stuff with PR hacking. We got on the Rachel Ray show. Actually in 2016 it was. So the next year two in business, we were on the Rachel Ray show. And then I started seeing a lot more movement with, at the time in Instagram, they were called brand reps. And this is 2016, 2015. So in Instagram terminology. So first and foremost, I want everyone to know, I do not consider myself an Instagram expert. Okay. Like if you go to my Instagram profile, you can see that I am not an expert. I don't post very, very regularly or often. And so I knew that I needed help with our Instagram because I sucked. Like I was running it, and this is a company, our target demographic is mommies. mid 30s,
Right.
white dude, whatever. I felt like it would be disingenuous if it was always me posting. My wife is not a huge person on Instagram. She's not creative at all. You don't want her taking photos because they're going to look like, she's gotten a lot better. So that's good. Suffice to say, I needed help. So that was when I started looking at, I think there were a few platforms that I used. One was called FameBit. That was the one that
Sure. I
now they're
remember
owned by
those in the
YouTube.
early days. Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah,
Yep.
FameBit. There was a couple others, and I liked the fact that I could talk to people, and then my strategy was, okay, so we had the success on Rachel Ray. We were in Forbes magazine. Our social proof, our social media presence was terrible. Our demographic lived on Instagram, and we really needed help connecting with that demographic because my stuff is not doing it right. So
Right.
I heard about influencer marketing, so I figured, okay, well, I'm going to start hiring some influencers, and I quickly found out that that's really expensive. I think it was like $150, and we got like 3 posts from one person, and there was like $300, and then we got like 5 posts or something.
Right.
So
Yep.
I was excited about the content was great, right? But the paying for it all the time was not great. And so I started seeing in Instagram these things called brand rep searches. And generally speaking, in Instagram, a brand rep is actually a child or a baby. The brand rep, they are repping a product, they're representing a company. There are brand reps that are older, but in Instagram lingo, it's generally in the mommy space and generally with kids and toddlers. And most of the time, it's just the mom at home because, if she's a stay-at-home mom, she's home all day with kids.
Right.
She has no adult interaction. She has no community to be around. And so a lot of these women will participate in the communities for community's sake. Plus they get free products and stuff, cool things for their kids. So that was the genesis of this.
Yeah. So
back in 2016, 2017.
I want to point out a few
Sorry.
things that kind of make you a little bit different than other people that you maybe talk to in the space. One, you came right out and talked about your failure, right? Failing and failing forward and launching your next step. Two, you shared your product and you shared your brand, right? Because when it comes down to it, you're not afraid for people to know who you are and what you sell because you have a brand and a following behind it that will propel your product to success, not just being dependent on Amazon traffic. And you kind of started off from the beginning, and nothing that you talked about was like, how do I optimize my self-research and how do I, take over keyword traction? It was from the beginning was, how do I build a brand and how do I get other people to talk about my brand? So what you're really talking about isn't necessarily influencer marketing. And you kind of said this to me in the pre-show, so I'm going to steal your line, but you're talking about brand exposure, not necessarily influencer marketing. So talk a little bit about, like, I have a brand and how do I get it more exposure? Like, what's the process that I need to go through as a seller to start getting more people to talk about my brand?
Okay. Yeah, that's a huge topic in and of itself. And I think the simplest starting point would be story. You have to start with story. And that may sound weird. And, it's funny. I have Donald Miller's story brand thing. I've never read the book, but everybody's, when I talk about story, people are like, oh, you must be a Donald Miller fan. No, actually, I've only heard about it. But the reason why I think about this is because I understand human psychology and how humans interact with each other. And we interact with each other in story form. If you look at all of human history, like writing started to preserve history. History is just a telling of stories. Writing started to tell stories, right? So everything for all of human history, it's all been story based. And that's how we interact with the world around us is through the lens of story. And we ourselves are characters in our own story, right? In the story of life. And I mean, you look at Hollywood. Why does entertainment make so much money? It's because you're participating in a story, you're immersing yourself in that. And so that's what brands can do. You have to create an immersive story that your customers can participate in, that they can be participants in, whether they themselves are the heroes or they're like side characters. Maybe they could be Frodo, maybe they could be Samwise, maybe they could be Merry, right? They don't all need to be the star. But my point is, start with story. So our story, our mission is we want to leave a positive, lasting impact on the world around us. We raise good humans by, well, what we say is we change the world one swim diaper at a time. We're doing this because our swim diapers are ecologically and economically friendly. And what we're about as a company is making good humans. And so our mission is to change the world, take diapers out of landfills. You know, that an actual disposable diaper takes 500 years to biodegrade. Right. That on average, the average family spends $90 every month on diapers. And if you have a swimming season, those are different diapers. You could spend anywhere from $50 to $200 a summer on swim diapers. So understanding the pain points of your audience and weaving a story that they can gravitate to and feel a part of is huge. And that is essential for influencers, not just your brand, but it's essential for branding first, but it's even more essential for influencers. Because if you're wanting to work with people that are helping promote you, you don't want to work with people that are only doing it for money, because it will come across as disingenuous and people see through that. And in the world that we live in, if you look at the companies that are winning and the things that people talk about, it's those mission-driven companies, right? It's like Tom's Shoes. Tom's Shoes started this whole thing with buy one, give one decade ago.
People get behind a mission. I always like to say people do business with people first, and then they do business with the company, and then they do business with the product, right? So if they like you and they like your company, they will buy your product. And I think that what you're saying is that you have to develop that story behind your brand so that people then want to connect to you. And then it's pretty amazing, right? When you build that connection with people, they want to talk about you. And that's where the influencer side of it comes in. So if I'm getting started in this and I've got, let's say, we'll just make the assumption I've got my story, right? Or I'm working on my story. How do I start to find these brand reps or these influencers if I don't want to just pay for them? What's the best way to get my 50 fanatic fans, right? Isn't that the basic math they say is to find your first 50?
Find your first 50, you got 100. Well, I mean, there's a great essay called What Your 1,000 True Followers or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So that's kind of my concept, is we want those 1,000 true followers that are diehard. They'll do anything, they love us. So starting what we did, and now I'm going to say what we did and how we've adopted it and what people can do. So what we did was we just made a post on our Instagram thing, and we asked people to tag us in 3 photos, share it with their friends, give us a reason for why they would be a brand rep, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now that was back in February of 2017 when we first started this. In December 2017, Facebook rolled out an update called the Anti-Engagement Bait Update, which basically looks at posts. And if you're asking people, share this with friends, tag 3 people, comment below, anything like that, you're going to decrease your reach and to the point where people won't see it. So what we've switched to is a combination of, I'm going to talk about what we do at the Chat Agency, which is we provide services doing this for people, and then also what we do at Bow and Bell Littles. So at Bow and Bell Littles, we built enough brand recognition that we can run ads effectively. To date, we've sold between 150 and 200,000 swim diapers. So now I just had a meeting today with my team. I was like, imagine if every single one of those customers, those 200,000 people, looked at themselves as an influencer and posted about us once a week. Can you imagine like the exposure? That's insane. That would be amazing. So that's my goal, right? So let's roll this back. Now,
create such an amazing experience that you want to tell the world about it. I mean, there's a pair of salad choppers that my wife bought, and she pulled these out at family dinner, and she started chopping the salad in front of everybody, and 4 people in the room got on their phone and bought them, right? Like that's influencer marketing right there.
That is influencer marketing. And the best thing about that example is that is how we get purchases. And so that is my most common, not retort, but example given to people that when they're looking at influencer marketing and tracking ROI, right? We track ROI year over year, not week over week, day over day, or month over month, right? Because we know that where our baseline exposure was here last year, and then we want to be here. What we're looking at is things like blog mentions, obvious, sales ranking, continued sales growth year over year for the same SKU, that sort of stuff. So coming back to how can people do this for themselves? what we do at the chat agency, I started with a Bow and Bell Littles thing, but at the chat agency, we do a mixture of manual outreach. So we go through and we actually contact people that would be good fits for your business, and that anybody can do this, right? So how you would do this is, let's say that you sell,
let's say you sell the chopper,
the salad chopper. Okay.
Yes.
So what I would do is
we'll put the link below. We'll put the link below. I'll use my affiliate link.
And there you go. And then you'll make some money off of this.
I'll make my $2 for every chopper we sell.
There you go. So you got the salad chopper. Eating, and where my brain goes, again, food is about connection and community. It's not about stuffing your gut, right? Unless you're in the military and you're eating an MRE and it's only about sustenance. But my point is, with the salad chopper, right? It's about a community. It's about more than this. So I would think about, okay, what's the story that I'm trying to tell about this connection and the creativity? But what I would do is I would look at my closest competitors that have a good brand that market the story or the market the connection of eating together, right? And then I would find in their Instagram accounts, for example, I would go through their posts and I would see if there's consistent people that comment regularly or engage. Then I would go out and follow those people and start engaging with them over time, slowly. Okay. Think of this as you see a hot potential partner at the bar and you want to approach that person. You're not going to go up straight up and just, I mean, you may do this, but generally speaking, you're going to try to get to know them first. You're going to have conversations. You're going to get to know each other before whatever, let's say you think you're going to marry this person. You're not going to go straight up and say, hey, want to get married? That's just really weird. So point is, engage with people once they start responding to you. What, the salad chopper?
I had my wife bring me the chopper.
That's great.
Yeah, it's a great chopper.
So she just like puts it in the bowl and
you put it. See that? Yeah, it goes down in the bowl and
yep,
chops your salad up. I'll do a demo. I'll post it onto their Facebook page and I'll put the link below.
Awesome. Okay, so I would do manual outreach based on who's engaging with my competition and also people that are posting around a specific family of hashtags or keywords. So if they're posting about salads or cooking or family time, stuff like that, and I know that my people that buy my stuff are interested in family time, family food, family nights, that sort of thing, then I would build that list and I would contact them. Generally speaking, I would have a somewhat templatized approach, but I would personalize it to each individual person. Now, I'm not going to go out and just immediately contact them again. So if we're at a bar, I'm not going to walk across the room and just propose right away to some.
Right, you're going to hope you maybe see her at the bar. You're going to maybe come back to the bar in another 4 days and hope she's still there.
Yeah, so I'll strike up a conversation. Hey, do you want to go? I mean, I've enjoyed this conversation. You want to go grab lunch sometime? Yeah. Something along those lines, right? So the same thing. You're going to be seen just commenting, somewhat regularly, and generally depending on. So if I have a brand new business with a brand new social media account, I will do this from my personal account. If I have an established business that has a decent following with good exposure, I do it from my business account. And the reason is, again, I'm wanting to set the foot. It's like the clothes that you're wearing, right?
Yep.
If you're wanting to attract a mate or you're wanting to get a date with somebody, you're not going to go dressed like a slob. You're going to put your best foot forward.
You mean you're not wearing a Famous on Amazon shirt when you go out?
I mean, you could. So that's the manual.
So you kind of slow roll this relationship. You start kind of building, you want them to have seen you interacting with them before, it's kind of the give, like the jab punch, right? You want to give a little before you ask for anything.
Right. And that's now that you brought that up too, the thing that the mindset that you should be going into this in any relationship like this is give first and give more than you get. Yep. Because if you try to look through the eyes of the other person, right? Let's say that I'm looking through your eyes. Let's say that you're an influencer. I sell the salad stuff. I would do my research on you. I would figure out what you like, what you don't like, the things that you post, like what's your dog's name, what are your kids' names? And then I'd start engaging with you and follow you. And then over time, probably about a week or two, then I'd say, hey, I'd love to, generally speaking, what I'll do is I'll follow that person. If they follow me back, then I'll message them. Not right away, right? But within a week or so. The point is that you want to establish some recognition, not be creepy, but also not let it take too long.
So what's the hit ratio, right? Like just to give people a general sense. I mean, you have an agency, you're doing this for a lot of brands, but if I want to do this for myself, right? Everything you're saying can be done for yourself, but like, what's the hit ratio? How many of these outreaches do I need to make to get a winner? Just so people have an understanding of the effort you need to be thinking about.
So we just went over this yesterday for one of our clients. We contacted 299 people. 8 people replied that they had rates. Those people we don't work with out the gate, because again, the goal is a relationship, not just to be about money. You want it to be about something other than money. We sent 35 contracts. So that means 35 people got back to us and said they were interested. Out of those 35 sent, we had 9 signed. So that's a 3% return rate on the 300.
And what's in the contract? What are you offering them? Free product in exchange for doing something, or
most of the time. A lot of the other stuff that we have in the contract,
but you're not paying for that. You're just giving the free product for that.
Sometimes we do. So in Bow and Bell Littles, we pay if we use their photo in any digital advertising, on our Amazon listing, on our Shopify store, or in our print.
So that's kind of like an incentive within your contract that says, if you do this and you post and we like it and reuse it, we will pay you, but we're not paying you to do it.
But we're not paying people to post, generally speaking. Now, there are some
so why have a contract?
The contract releases rights to us in perpetuity for the creative works that they give us.
Gotcha.
So that's really important, because if somebody, so again, another example with Bow and Bell Littles, we had a trade show that we were going to be a part of. I think it was 2019. It was 2020 last year. I can't remember what year it is anymore.
Right.
So I think it was 2019.
We just kind of skipped that one.
The year that didn't exist.
Yeah.
So in 2019, we were going to go to this trade show. There was this whole shitstorm that happened about the founder of this event married the founder when she was 15 or 16. So it was kind of weird, but he had photos on his computer of her when she was underage. And so he was listed as a pedophile or something. It was really, really weird. But there's this lady in our community that got wind of this, and it like in that community, it was a shitstorm. It was crazy. Like, this event does not exist anymore. And it was insane. So we had a lady who was a part of our brand rep team. She got freaked out about the fact that she had given us the photos, and it's like, normal baby photos, like playing in the water and having fun. And she was like, I want you to delete everything that you've posted and never post about me again. So we did that. We're like, sorry, don't worry. But we had a contract signed that said that we had rights to the photos. Our content manager accidentally posted a photo of her like a month after this, and she threatened to sue us. And we're like, well, you have this contract signed that released rights to these photos in perpetuity. So, that was a mistake, but just FYI, if you sued us, you'd lost. So now that is an extreme example, right? But that is a good example, because the rights that are owned, the rights owner of any creative work is the person who created that work, unless they release it to you. So legally speaking, if you are taking photos without permission from your customers and using them anywhere else, technically and legally speaking, you're breaking the law. So you need to have the release of rights, even if it's just them an email, like, you can use it. Or
look, there's the famous case right now about the Nirvana album cover, right? That the kid's looking for stuff. So anytime you're using something that you didn't create, you want to have the rights to it, and having that contract makes sense. So now the
other thing in the contract.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'll quickly wrap this up. The other thing in the contract is we outline any point system that we're using and what they're going to get points for and what rewards they may possibly achieve.
Gotcha.
So that would be like points for posting, points for commenting on your post, points for sharing your post, points
you're gamifying the socialization, and you're rewarding them for their efforts, but you're not paying them to do those efforts.
Correct. They earn payment. They earn rewards.
Gotcha.
Right? And
I'm putting you on the spot here, but is that a contract or a template of a contract you share?
That is our intellectual property, and you can definitely get it if you become a client.
Okay. I just didn't know. I just thought I'd ask.
No, you're good.
So we talked a little bit about like measuring this success. And I want to kind of wrap this up here in the next couple of minutes, but like you touched on it quickly, but like, okay, so I've gone through the work. I've established myself as a brand. I've gone through the work and I understand I've got about a 3 to 4%, success ratio for outreach, and how to find the influencers and how to outreach to them and to make sure I maintain the rights. How do I now measure that success to understand whether this whole effort is worthwhile? Because that's one of the things I've seen in this space is that, like, I for a while was following Haro, Help a Reporter Out, and you'll find people talking about kind of your brand, and you can send them and they'll write a blog post, and then you're like, God, that really wasn't even worth terrible. The free product, right? Right. So how do you kind of measure that success to understand where you want to push on the throttle in building brand influencer?
I look at it in terms of like search engine optimization. That's one thing that I look at is
link building.
Link building, right? Yep. Link building is definitely one category that I look at. Before I go too far down this road, I was going to say too, the other way that we attract people is through advertisements, and then the advertisements go through a chat funnel, which is completely different. So I don't have time to go into that, but that is the most effective way. I went through the outreach because it's literally anybody can do that. You don't need expertise. But how we measure success is we look at the user generated content that we get over time. So we're sitting on about 7,000 pieces of user generated content that we've been able to get over the past, since 2017. So what is that? 4 years now, 4.5 years.
Yep.
And so I look at that as a measurement of success because we were already doing lifestyle photo shoots, right? So if you're not doing lifestyle photo shoots, if you don't care about the quality of your photos, you don't care about the quality of your content, this might not be for you. Because what I'm looking at is, like, we do a lifestyle photo shoot, and that's between $500 and $3,000, depending on where we're going, how many photos we're going to get. So let's just say it's $500, we get 20 photos. I mean, that's, what is that? $150,000 worth of, let's see, 20 times 500, $1.75 million. Maybe I'm doing my math wrong, but my point is that I look at it in user generated content. I looked at it in also earned media value. Earned media value would be if you paid for that post, right? So right when I first started, I talked about hiring influencers at the beginning. I know the rates, anywhere from $100 to $400 for like micro. It could be more now. Micro is charging up to $1,000, $2,000 now, but nano is where I love. Nano is anything under 10,000. Nano influencers I know charge generally about $100 a post if they're good. If they're shit, it's like a $10 post, but I don't work with that. On the top tier. So I have 7,000 pieces of content. That would mean I've saved $700,000 in earned media value in them actually promoting us on social media. So that's another thing. The other thing that I look at would be any trackable sales, right? So we can track sales if people aren't at a dinner party or at a pool party and being like, where did you get those swim diapers? Well, I'm going to buy one right now, right? Like, you can't track that sale. But you can track a sale if it's gone through like an affiliate link or something along those lines, right?
Something trackable, right?
Which
you can now do. Which just for the record, we're not getting into this now, but you can do shareable coupons and shareable links on Amazon using the attribution linking to get a better understanding of where that traffic is coming from. So as you're building out this strategy and you're sending your traffic to Amazon, those are all things to consider.
Just understand that it's not going to be 100% accurate.
That's It's not a one for one. There's bleed off and cookies and all that other stuff that
in my experience, there's a ton of bleed off. But yes, exactly what you want to do is you have the brand attribution. So there's that link. You can do a social share URL, which is a super easy coupon that anybody can use.
Right.
The other way that you could track would be using an affiliate URL with Amazon. I think I already mentioned affiliate, but so you have the social coupon, which is just a landing page that's automatically applies the coupon, or you could do a custom group redemption code in Amazon specifically, like that eight digit thing. Right. So those are ways that you can track.
And Amazon Amazon's now letting brands send affiliate links into their page, which for a while was against their affiliate program, but they now realize that your external traffic is worthwhile. So there are ways to get the commission and do the tracking and still be within the terms of service. So it's an ever evolving process.
Yep. So and then finally we look at year over year sales growth at the same SKU. because we're not, again, like I look at myself as a brand builder, not just this Amazon guru, right? So I know that like our number one selling SKU, for example, is right now we're having some black hat person doing a flat file attack. So the sales on that have been abysmal for the past month. But generally speaking, what I look at is like, how's the SKU performing year over year? And we're not really sending any new additional traffic.
Gotcha.
What is the actual ranking picture look like too? Because I know like our stuff has such good traffic and SEO to it off Amazon that whenever these black hat stuff, whenever it's done, we'll be fine. It's a pain in the ass. We've lost like $500,000 this year.
It might hurt you and impact you for a short term, but in the long run,
right,
you'll be okay. So
exactly.
Here's what I want to wrap up on. A question I've been asking brand owners is, where do you see your brand and where do you see e-commerce going in 5 years? The question I want to ask you is a little bit different. Where do you see influencer marketing going in the next 5 years, and how will it impact brands?
Yeah, that is a great question. It's just going to continue to get more ubiquitous to marketing in general. I think it's going to be a part of, especially with direct to consumer brands, e-commerce focused, it's going to be a necessary tool that people are going to have a part of their toolkit. I see it costing more and working less effectively. This may not be the best thing telling people because I'm super excited about it. And the reason why that's
no different than the idea that it was easier to get into Amazon 5 years ago than it is to get into Amazon today. So influencer marketing 5 years from now will be more expensive and harder to do than it is today, because it's just going to become a more mature market and marketing tactic, right? As more people figure it out.
The other thing is that I see a big rise in I wouldn't even know what to call them, because they're like, there's the entrepreneurs and then there's the wantrepreneurs, the people that talk about being an entrepreneur but never pull the trigger. I see that in the influencer space too. There's a lot of people that want to be an influencer, but they just don't have what it takes. Maybe I mean, we get contacted by people all the time that have like 300 followers, and then they're like, well, how much am I going to get paid? Nothing. You're going to get paid nothing unless you drive a sales, then you get paid something. But like, I'm not going to pay somebody with 300 followers. Or it's funny because, again, like, everyone is an influencer, right? But when you come to me, I believe that literally everyone is an influencer. But when you come to me and you say, I'm an influencer, and you have 300 followers, sweetheart, you're dreaming. You're
well, but like you said, everyone's an influencer. I can influence somebody's purchase in what I'm doing. The company isn't going to pay me for it. The company isn't going to be looking for it. And if you build a good product, right? Because this is what I've always been telling people. This is what I've been telling you all for the last 7 years. It all starts with a good product. What Paul has added to that is that it adds to have a good story. And so if this salad chopper also had a good story to it in terms of how they also feed, feed children that don't have food. I don't know who else you would feed. That it would make you even that more attached to the brand to say, not only is this an awesome chopper, but they also do good. And I think that's a big driving point that everyone should take from this today is that your brand and your brand story and how you position yourself and you position your product ultimately lead you to the type of influencer marketing that you can do. And if your story doesn't have those pieces, that's what you should be working on. And if you have those pieces, then you can start working on the process of building out an SOP to get those influencers. Or for many of us that don't want to do that, you can work with an agency. And that's why Paul has also started an agency to do this. And there are other agencies out there, and there's lots of softwares out there that help you organize this. And so there are a lot of easier ways to get into this type of marketing. But as somebody who has tried influencer marketing for their brand, what I want to say is that it requires time. You have to dedicate time to this. It requires consistency. If you believe that you're just going to do this once and it's going to work, you will not be successful. And then 3, it requires you to be resilient, because it is changing, the market is changing, and you need to continue to change your tactics to be successful. If you want to connect with Paul and learn more about influencer marketing, you can go ahead and find his link below. We'll have all of his contact information for both him and his agency. And if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments, and we will make sure to answer those. And we'll be bringing you a lot more content and information on brand building through influencers, because we believe that this is going to be a big part of how to continue to grow a brand on Amazon. So thank you, Paul, for joining me today.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. It's been great.